Hello everyone, my name is Mary Mercy. I am God, and today, I will continue to introduce to everyone the next part of my book, God's Truth. Chapter 3, The Truth of Government. Please enjoying your journey of discovery all the mystery of life with God now. The pinnacle of success is benevolence, integrity, and justice. The pinnacle of wisdom is gratitude and conscience. When I came to the U.S., I was like many other new immigrants. I brought with me the American dream, the dream of getting rich, fame, wealth, and success, turning my dreams into reality. And that dream is still in me, but now my dream is different. It is not only a matter of money, but because I have seen that people's hearts are too heartless. All the crimes of humanity are caused by power and fame, body lust, and bottomless greed. Humans have lost their conscience to pursue material things. It's cowardly. Today, how many people live for the sake of the world but lose their hearts? Some are contrary to conscience and live insensitively, ignoring the brutal inhumanity of the government. How many people in the world today would rather die than go against their conscience? Are we losing our conscience? Careless people will surely die. Trees and plants can live without a heart. But after all, they are just plants there. Their mission is to provide food to feed people. But as a human being, it is necessary to have a conscientious heart that ordinary people call a conscientious heart. If a person has no conscientious heart, it is no different from dying. Are we losing our conscience? In Chinese characters, the word love means that love is a combination of the heart and the word true, which means true love, which is the acceptance and voluntary sacrifice for others. However, after taking over the government, the Chinese Communist Party subtly changed the inner meaning and transmission of the gods. Still, the word love has lost its heart, becoming superficial love without a heart. The Chinese Communist Party wants people to live without a heart. Many people today are proud that we live in a civilized society. When facing grievances, speak out strongly, especially on social networks. But when it comes to personal interests, the word conscience is not worth a penny to them. Recently, a series of Chinese people's Henan people discovered that their life savings had been wiped out by banks and the Communist Party of China government. Then turned around and prevented people from withdrawing money, when protesters demanded their own money back. Then the Chinese government sent hundreds of policemen and thugs to suppress and beat them. And many more crimes of murder, kidnapping and trafficking of women and children, organ harvesting, abortion, etc. In America, they are even smarter. They used bankruptcy law to blatantly steal your money, and you couldn't say anything. They don't use the word thugs to oppress you, but they used to use the word underground police to force you by various organizations such as Black Lives Matter, terrorism, Antifa, Mafia, Antichrist, Antifa, avowed Marxists, criminals and crime, sexual ideology, Planned Parenthood, critical race theory CRT, radical transgender LGBTQ+ ideology, pushing political propaganda and sexual content on children, dangerous brainwashing and poison books and programmers for our children and fool people of our country, etc. The Democrats now have an ally in the White House. First and foremost is President Joe Biden, which started with President Barack Obama, who defended rebel movements against fascist, racism, Black Lives Matter, terrorism, Antifa, Mafia, Antichrist, communists, avowed Marxists, Planned Parenthood, evil, criminals and crime, etc. spread all over America. It caused a civil war with the Republican Party and harmed the American people. Allowed unlimited illegal immigrants to enter the U.S. during the COVID-19 disaster in an uncontrolled and disorderly manner and caused the spread of COVID-19 disease to kill many American people. This is proof of the illegal immigrant trafficking into the United States for the Democrats' gain and Joe Biden's business with China and communism. This is an act of treason and needs to impeach Joe Biden immediately. The purpose of their agenda is to undermine the bedrock of American society, degrade American values, and ensure that their leftist ideology is forced on children without their parents' knowledge. And fool the people, make the people misunderstand, lie to people to cover the criminals, and do many bad things for people. As recently revealed, Planned Parenthood, the organization dedicated to killing as many babies in the womb as possible to sell children's embryos to organizations that trade in baby embryos from China for medicine, was the mastermind behind this media strategy. Planned Parenthood now stands to profit from chemically castrating healthy young boys and chopping off the breasts of young girls. All for money and all to push our children into a radical sexual agenda that will ruin their lives. American history has its problems, but no one today dares to be responsible for the sins, crimes, and misdeeds of government and immoral, inhuman organizations. We must stand up together and stop the government and all the bad, immoral, inhuman organizations from doing that. Again, on the horrible night of July 21, 2019, at the station, the former leaders of Hong Kong who participated in the protest of the bill were suddenly beaten indiscriminately by gangsters wearing white t-shirts holding sticks. Including pregnant women and female reporters screamed echoed throughout the station, many injured and covered in blood. At that time, many mainland Chinese just tearfully thought that this had nothing to do with them. And now, it is the same people of Henan who are also experiencing the unjustifiable repression of the Chinese Communist Party. There is a famous poem by Martin Niemöller at the memorial to the victims of the Nazi Holocaust as follows. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Martin Niemöller. So, it's mean at first, they came to kill the communists, and I was silent because I am not a communist. Then they killed the Jews, and I kept quiet because I was not a Jew. Then they murdered the union members, and I kept quiet because I was not a union member. Then they murdered Catholics, and I was silent because I was a Protestant. Then they murdered those who practice Falun Gong, and I was silent because I was practicing yoga. And then, they used the abortion law to kill unborn babies, and I also kept quiet because I'm not an unborn baby. By the time they killed me, no one could speak for me anymore. What is happening in China today is that tragedy. People are silent about evil because they think it has nothing to do with them. And by the time they become victims, it's too late. In the minds of Chinese people now, traditional culture and faith have been replaced by atheism and class struggle theory, dangerous brainwashing of our children with critical race theory (CRT), radical transgender LGBTQ+ ideology, pushing political propaganda and sexual content on children, dangerous brainwashing and poison books and programmers for our children, etc. They become selfish and insensitive when they see the evil Chinese Communist Party raging. To be safe, they choose to be silent about the pain of others, showing a neutral attitude and not interested in politics. Even participate in it passively and partisan, very political violence. But when people choose to submit or to remain neutral in the face of evil, it is that they are gradually losing their conscience heart, losing faith in the existence of God and the human values left behind by history. Since when do politicians and people who have been elected by the people to work for the people have the right to decide on their own votes in favor of the president on behalf of the people? While outside the White House, there are more than 60,000 people gathered to scream and beg Congress to let them confirm the election results in 2020. Since when has the hearts of American politicians become so hard and inanimate? Since when has the conscience of our statements become overpowered and irresponsible to the people? Who dares to decide everything on his own and turn his back on the people gathered outside the Capitol like that? All those who have ruled for the outcome of the 2020 election and convicted innocent people have stood up for their freedom to vote. So please reconsider what you do. Is it the same as what the Chinese Communist Party is doing? America is a country of free elections, free speech, and free petitions to the government. So, what happened to the people who came to the Capitol for their freedom to vote on January 6, 2021? To support the president they elected, were arrested, beaten, and charged? Went to jail? America's freedom to vote and freedom of assembly, then, has been blatantly and barbarically violated and has been suppressed by the force of the government. Then the freedom of the people has been taken away at the hands of the government's lies and violence? People of freedom, and we, the people of America, please stand up for the freedom that God gave to us and for us, the people of America, to regain our own freedom. Don't let lies and dark forces rule America. America is a country of freedom, where people can choose the president and vote for their president. America is a country that worships God. But we do not worship the government. We respect freedom and respect the truth. Respect good people who dare to sacrifice themselves for the country and for the society. But we don't want an evil government, repressive by force and lies. If you don't wake up, the world will be destroyed by the communists. Why do you allow a foreign police agency to be based and operate in your own country? Why do you see cruelty and grievances, crimes, scam, homeless that you do not speak up about? Have you lost your conscience too? Or do you just need to receive a lot of bribes and have a lot of money and the communists' pretty girls? And you can sell all your conscience and sell the country and sell the people to the communists? Politicians are people elected by the people to serve the people, not to serve their own interests. Not to massacre people. I wonder if politicians ever know how to write their own impeachment. Or do the politicians wait until the communists fire missiles at Washington and then go to do the review? The trees can live without a heart. But as a human, if you don't have a heart, the true heart, you will die. 100 years in the realms of humans, the word talented and destiny is to hate each other. After 1,000 tumultuous sightings, that painful heart, if you make the law, but you don't follow it according to the law, no one will listen and follow it. Once people no longer respect the law and no longer believe in the law, then they will stand up for themselves and will act on their own instincts. I take a real example today, which is that many Americans are very dissatisfied with the current law precisely because they do not believe in the law. They find the law unfair to them, not protecting them, and no freedom and equality. They are oppressed, exploited, assaulted, attacked, raped, despised, prosecuted, abandoned, etc. And when they brought the lawsuit to the court or government agency, they didn't get help or rightfully treated, and they lost faith in the government. That's why they can only rely on themselves, that is, to commit suicide or shoot others, steal, kill, drink, gamble, commit crimes, sexual assaults, etc. The time has come for you to realize the errors of your laws, amend the laws, enact strict and just laws, protect the good people, and uphold justice, fairness, civility, and transparency in the law. All bad people, villains, criminals, terrorists, and fraudsters, taking property and causing harm to others, must go to jail and must work in prison to compensate for the damage or harm caused to others. Only such a strict law can punish evil and sinners. It is time for us to appreciate kindness and treat good people well, and evil and sinners must be severely punished. In addition, America's democracy is being tragically violated and taken away by the government. America's democracy is founded on the foundation of the people, by the people, and for the people. All decision-making rights are created by the people. The government is also elected by the people, and the right to freely vote, and free speech, from which to appeal to the government, will never be changed or taken away. If an existing government does not solve the problems of society and life for the people, causing riots and discontent among the people, then we are the people with the right to vote and elect a new government, a new president to meet the actual requirements and social problems of the people first. But we don't need a bad president and a puppet government, lying, corrupt, bureaucratic, using power for personal gain, and using violence to oppress the people. It is time for government lies and abuse of power to be condemned and changed. America's democracy was founded by the people and for the people. Therefore, the decision-making power belongs to the vote of the people. In fact, the government did not take care of the people but was taking advantage of the people for personal gain. So, we demand that another president and a new government be changed immediately. While the people living in the country, the hungry people, the poor people, the homeless people, the miserable people, the thieves, the criminals, and the scammers are spreading all over the U.S. The government is not worried, so please ask the government, what is the government worried about? And where is the democracy of people? That is for the people and by the people? And why let illegal immigrants spread into the U.S. in an uncontrolled and disorderly manner? Is there no specific plan for the new immigrants to integrate into the new life in America? Why let illegal immigrants come to destroy America, destroy education, destroy healthcare system, and the American work system? Harm the American people? Why? Why the people in the country are still so poor, the people are miserable and homeless. Crimes, scams, fraud, and bankruptcies are spread around the country, and the government can't take care of it. Please don't let more illegal immigrants enter the United States until the government has finished solving the homeless, the hungry, the poor, the miserable, the thieves, the criminals, the scammers, and the bankruptcies that are rampant throughout the U.S. Then the government can accept new immigrants. As for the current situation, people in the country are worried about illegal immigrants in a massive and disorderly manner, without a plan for them to integrate and live a new life in the U.S. Then there will be riots and serious crises and economic recession. In addition to the dissatisfaction of the people in the country, there will be many consequences of increased crime, theft, fraud, murder, and homelessness. Please, the government looks at social problems realistically and has a more correct and practical solution when the people in the country know that the government has taken better care of them. Then please accept more new immigrants. Please don't abuse power and deceive and take advantage of people. Please don't sit there in the abuse of power and oppress the people. Please don't sit there in the chair of power and fame and forget your duties and responsibilities towards people and country. Please don't sit there with your head bowed to the ground to cover up your sins and shameless oppression, mistreatment of the people. Please don't sit there and say flowery and false words, to steal people's money and efforts like a megaphone speaker and use the guise of news or social media to lie and harm good people. In today's world, when life has so many difficulties, so many crimes, so many injustices, and injustices happen everywhere, all over the country, when education, politics, and government corruption, crimes, exploitation, oppression, and injustice have pervaded the earth, we can all recognize it. And we also understand that it is the very causes of injustice and the cruelty of crime that have been destroying the earth and humanity. And we humans must live in a polluted environment. Water sources are destroyed, Food is poisoned, lies cover the world, terror scares us, and we must bury our heads in everything without knowing that everything is controlled by the devil, Satan. We are being deceived and controlled by the devil directly and very brutally. All the sins and crimes of the world are caused by them. The proof is that let's search on Google and on YouTube and see all the sins that we humans have committed to humanity around the world. Videos and videos on YouTube. We will see all the sins of the world from the past until now. All the bad, the evil, the lies, the ghastly degenerate, etc. that we can watch on YouTube are just a small part of the sin that the devil has entered our souls to sow evil thoughts, and we have listened to and followed the evil there discussed. The barbaric torture of man to man, abortion, acts of trafficking, and blatant degenerate sexual torture of Satan. It is also the most terrible crime and shows disrespect to God and offends God in a grave and inhuman way. My mission is to expose the government's crimes. Who is me? And why did I come down to this earth to suffer, to sacrifice, and to be humiliated? Because I am God, and from the very beginning, I was aware of my responsibility and duty in creating the universe. If I don't come down to earth as a human and suffer, make sacrifices, suffer humiliation, and let others cheat, let others look down on me, how can I clearly see the fake face and your lies and woes? How can I clearly see the wretched and dirty faces of the politicians? And the wretched and dirty face of this world? In today's world, where the line between truth and fake is constantly blurred. Only by being during the storm can we accurately capture its ferocity and intensity. If I don't go into the tiger's den, how can I catch the tiger? If I'm not in that situation, how can I see all the pain and hatred? If I'm not in the situation, how can I see the true dirty face of rich politicians by stealing and corrupting others? In this stinking and filthy society, in a society where the wicked disguise themselves as virtuous people, the demons are the rulers who are making a storm, oppressing good people, stealing all their money, plundering all their wealth, and arresting them. They enslave people, all of you. Please open your eyes wide to save yourself, save your children and grandchildren. Don't let the wicked swindlers continue to rule the government. Please don't vote for Democrats anymore. Please don't vote for bad and evil anymore. Because they are the liar and evil, they just lied to get your vote and oppose you, torture and oppress the people, enslaving them to Democrats' government officials. I am a victim and a witness to the misery and corruption of this society, of this country, to denounce and condemn the crimes of humanity. In this current political landscape, where greed and corruption often outweigh empathy, the truth, and compassion, it is important to be aware of the true intentions of politicians. Ensuring that all voices are heard and that one's vote is used to uphold justice and morals is paramount in creating a just and equitable society. It is only by standing up for what we believe in and fighting for the greater good that we can truly make a difference in this world. Don't think that I am a god, so I can only lie on the throne and enjoy. You should remember everything is made by me, so I did manage everything, even good or bad. Do you think that there is no God in the universe? Do you think that in all your evil deeds, God doesn't punish you? Remember, God knows all things, and God created you to do good things. If you do bad things, God will punish you. All the bad people are already in hell, but this world keeps doing bad because they do not know there is a God, or they don't want to know about it. They are stubborn, and they will not know about hell until they will be in hell. The truth face of America. I have lived in the US for many years. Enough time of tears, injustice and humiliation, bitterness and trials, hatred and gratitude, and I've been through life's ultimate deadlock myself. This society looks the most beautiful, luxurious, and wealthy on the outside. But it is also the most corrupt and miserable society. These are the traps caused by the leaders in the government themselves. They pretend to be businesses, impersonating state-owned companies, letting you invest, letting you contribute capital. Then they will take your money and disappear. Only when you have lost all your money and assets and are empty-handed will you know you have fallen into the trap of government, and it is too late. And when you have lost everything, the government will kick you out on the street to be homeless. You go to a lawyer, the lawyer will find a way to take all your money, then you go to the court. The court will not deal fairly with you, won't get your money back, won't vindicate you, because the courts are also corrupt. Because the courts are also ruled by the Democrats, because the courts are also run by the accomplices of the criminals. Then the court even enacted bankruptcy laws to give bad people the right to steal all money legally and unfairly, without you protesting or agreeing to agree. Where do you sue them? Court, IRS, FBI, police? Did they ever help you or return your money or answer your case with a legal document? The legal system just puts you in a government trap from which you can't get out. You are just prey in the hands of the rulers. I'll tell you why now, but after reading this, keep it in your heart to protect yourself. Choose for yourself the right to vote for a good person, and lead the country to a good path of renewal. So, when you are sick, they take care of you. When you are poor, they will help you. When you are robbed and bullied, they will give you a fair trial. Don't let the evil politicians rule and use their goon and unethical lies and use their flashy and luxurious appearance to deceive you. Wake up and use your votes to elect good people. Truly capable people who dare to sacrifice themselves for this country and will work for you. Not the kind of people that are sweet mouths, wearing expensive clothes. But inside is a blood-sucking demon that is evil, infamous, and sinful. Good people, they will stand up to fight for justice and for you and your honor when you are offended, when you are oppressed and treated unfairly. As for the bad people, they only know money and beautiful women. They only know how to take a lot of bribes and are willing to change white for black. Ready to let you into a death trap of the evil and corrupt authorities. They will be willing to let you go out to be homeless after robbing all your property and honor. They are also ready to rob your human rights, not allowing you to protest or reparenting your rights. You are just a puppet and a card in the hands of evil, powerful governments. That is the Democrats' Democratic Party. All the Democrats are greedy and bad, have lost all conscience and benevolence, lost all human dignity, and are a bunch of frauds and liars. They only know how to deceive the people into harming them, people. To rob the people's money and all their property and force them to be slaves to the rulers. Let the rulers rob the people's money of all their properties and then push them to the streets to make them homeless. Why are the rulers so rich and powerful? But the black people must work for them all their lives, become their slaves, let them hang on their heads, and let them do whatever they want to do. What rules do they want to make that you have to obey? Why don't you know what's right and what's wrong? Why don't you guys stand up for the right of people and the right to be human? The human right, the human value? Democrats, they just lie to you, they are lying. They lie to give you health care, give you housing and give you welfare to get your vote, but after they get government, then when you get sick or you cannot work, they will let you go out to be homeless, they rob you and all your money and property, then they let you go to the street to be homeless. And at that time, you don't know whom to call or no one can help you. You see how many homeless people are on the street now, that is the proof and witness of the lies and deceit of the Democrats' party. And I am also a witness and proof of this Democratic government's deceit and wretchedness. What I want to talk about is American life. And why are there so many homeless on the street all over the country? When you come to America, you will only see luxurious luxury things in front of your eyes, with the most luxurious and rich neighborhoods. But you also can see right in front of your eyes all the homeless streets and dark corners of this country, right? Do you ever question it? And I am also a victim of this trap. And the people working for the government also kick me out of the street to be homeless while I have a terminal illness and memory loss. So, I understand very well why there are so many homeless out there on the street. I live in America, a country of civilization and modernity. Why? Why let thieves and scammers run rampant like that? I was scammed, robbed, and got a judgment. They signed the contract to steal my money and run, did not pay me back the money, and broke the contract. But no law enforcement agency helped me get justice and get my money back. Going to a lawyer, the lawyer asks for too many fees. Going to the court refuses to take the debtor to jail. Going to the police will not cooperate. Report to FBI never answers. What is going on with the government system? What is going on with the legal system here? Is corruption all over the government system? Is corruption all over America? Where is the justice? Where is the law? Why is there no government agency responsible for apprehending scammers and thieves? Why leave them free to do wrong things and cheat people so unscrupulously? Why let good people suffer so unjustly and unfairly without any law enforcement officials responsible for it? Why no hope and no justice in America? I am in America, a country of modernity and civilization, so why do I go to the hospital to see a doctor and get sick, yet I'm not treated like a patient in need of care? I was treated like a criminal and violated and chased away with much harassment. Where has the professional ethics of a true doctor gone? Doctors know how to treat. And doctors have all the tools and medication to treat but refuse to treat and give medication just because of insurance issues. Then I was scammed by the scammers, signed a contract, and ran away with the money. No government agency was willing to solve it and get my money back, letting the scammers and robbers run wild and steal money from others. Then after I was robbed of all my property and money, the Section 8 housing managers took care of my case, refused my case, and kicked me out of the street to be homeless. This is proof of the lies and cruelty of the government and its accomplices who have robbed the people. I am a witness to the corruption of this unscrupulous society and government. The Democrats pushed me on the street to become homeless so that I could get evidence to denounce the demons that suck people's blood. They just lied to people to get their votes. Lies to give people health care and housing and welfare to gain people's votes. But when people got sick, people lost all their money from scammers. And they were pushed people to the street to become homeless. The Democrats steal money from the government by stealing benefits for the sick and the poor, pushing them to become homeless. That is why a lot of homeless people are on the street now. That is the lie of Democrats. I got sick so that I could become the best doctor. So that I can see their ugly scum and corrupt faces. So, I can see who is good, who is bad. If I came to this world with the authority of a god, how can I see the true face of all the bastards of their misfortune? Now I understand why so many homeless people are out there on the street with no hope, no life. No one cares for them. The Democratic Party just lied to people that they would give health care, housing, and welfare, so people voted for them and donated money for them. But when people get sick and cannot work, they kick them out of the street to be homeless. They steal all the benefits from sickness and poor people to enrich themselves in all the government agencies. All of you only know how to ask people for money but can't solve anything to help the people and help the country. So theft, fraud, homeless, suicide, shooting, defunding the police. Economic crisis, border crisis, crime crisis, education crisis, etc. All over the country. So please answer me, why do you ask people for money? But how many generations of politicians and experts go to ask for money from the people? What did you do with donated money without solving the problems of the people and society? Do you do politics? Do you get paid by the government? Why do so many problems and deadlocks of society out there persist forever without any change? How many generations of theft and fraud and homelessness are still not over? Why? What did you guys do with the donated money? If all politicians do not care for the people, do not stand up for justice to protect the victims, protect justice and be fair for the people, then please resign and write a self-criticism to apologize to the people. I will stand up to defend justice and fairness for the people. Be careful with this country if you are a new immigrant, because the old people who have been here longer will try to lie to you and take all your money and all your property. They will lie and sign a contract to make you believe them. Then after they take all your money, they will run away and you will never find them or sue them. Or if you could sue them, you would lose a lot of money for lawyers in court. Then they will blatantly steal your money by giving false bankruptcies, and you won't be able to do anything but die in pain. The American dream is the journey to success, fame, and wealth. But homeless people on the street are really the pain and shame and will lose all the honors of the United States. And they are also the living witnesses to denounce the crimes of the government and rich politicians for embezzlement and sucking the blood of the people. So, what is the real reason causing such pitiful consequences today? What is the main reason that many people must live on the street and out to be homeless? Financial crises, homeless crises, borders crises, illegal crises, crimes crises, economic crises, inflation crises, fraud crises, protests, civil wars, defunding the police, shootings. A lot of people have committed suicide, have lost all their possessions, and become homeless. Murder, fraud, scam and lies and bankruptcies are rampant throughout the United States, etc. All of that because of what and because of who? Trade wars, financial crises, and wars that are cruel, immoral, and too callous have left so many wounded, sick, and suffering people in this country and around the world. The crimes of the social evils, the lavish and miserable play of the boys, and the evil of the politicians? Of world rulers? Did you really see them? Do you really know them? And now the latest are scam companies, rogue banks, rogue politicians, scam gangs, and even all people go scam because they are tricked into working for scam companies. And now the whole of America is cheating, and the whole world is cheating. So, who are these scams? And which companies? Let me list some of the latest scam companies for you to remember. In the past few decades alone, financial situations in many regions, from Asia and Europe to the Americas, have all been troubled and caused a global financial collapse. This shows that investors are worried about the stability of European banks. Besides, economies may be under pressure when the interest rate hike puts many banks in more trouble. However, this is not the first time the world has seen ministries collapse financially. The following financial crises are rated as the largest in the past decades. The most devastating financial crises in human history: the Panic of 1772, the Charles Ponzi crisis of 1920, the Great Depression of 1929 to 1939, the OPEC oil price shock of 1973, the Asian crisis of 1997, the dot-com bubble burst of 2000, the financial crisis of 2008, the COVID-19, etc. have passed, but its result is the whole country homeless. The whole world homeless in front of our eyes. These are the biggest terrible frauds in human history, losing hundreds of jobs, thousands of crimes, billions of lost, and many high-ranking leaders committing suicide behind the scenes is an example of limitless human greed. And which companies were scammed? Let me list some of the latest scam companies for you to remember, like Enron, 2000, Evergrande, 2020, WorldCom, 2002, FTX, 2022, Volkswagen, 2008. Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme, 2008, $20 billion. Alan Stanford $7 billion. Tom Petters $3.7 billion. Scott Rothstein $1.2 billion. Reed Salkin $593 million. Gerald Payne and Greater Ministries International $448 million. Lou Pearlman $300 million. Charles Ponzi $15 million. Michael Milken, 1969, and many more and more. 2008 had the worst economic crisis since World War II. It started with the crisis of the downturn of the U.S. housing market, with the most mentioned cause later borrowing collateral for real estate loans. And the 2019 disaster with the COVID-19 epidemic was a terrible disaster that killed a lot of people all over the world, crippled and completely collapsed all the world's economies, caused a crisis, and closed all trades and closed all the gates of the world. It is the most terrible disaster in human history. And if we do not wake up, the catastrophe of human extinction will surely happen. Medicare and Medicaid fraud is the super way that government agents steal people's money and bill the government. Government employees stole information from patients or people who were entitled to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid benefits and then automatically placed orders to buy supplies and apply for government subsidies with fake listings. Then they take the government subsidy, and they keep it for themselves, not giving it to the patients and the people who really benefit. Because of this fraud, those who qualify to really get it don't get government subsidies. But all the welfare money goes into the pockets of government officials and their associates. That sin is immoral and unscrupulous. Then it's the doctor's turn to cheat. The doctors who accept the patient and do not treat the patient but bill the wrong bill to charge the insurance. Patients go to the hospital. The doctors do not treat the disease with a conscience but with insurance. Doctors have lost their self-respect and professional ethics. If you want to become a good doctor, you must swear. Is the oath of doctors still valid? Why would a doctor lie to a patient? The value of a doctor is not to lie to patients. Why? Why do doctors do it wrong? The professional ethics of a doctor is not to lie to the patient and not to do wrong. The mission of doctors is to save people and cure diseases, not to steal or cheat or harm people. If you do this, you have violated a taboo in your profession. When you die, you will be reincarnated as a bacterium, a scorpion, or a snail. Odometer fraud, insurance fraud, credit card fraud, online fraud, housing fraud, fraudulent banking, bankruptcies fraud, etc. What's all this scam for? It is due to the greed of politicians, is due to the economic operation of the rulers. It's because of the Fed's central bank interest rate adjustment, it's the stock market, it's the investors' scam, it's the speculators' scam, it's the rogue banks. It's because of the mafia bosses and the bosses of the banks and financial markets of Wall Street, that is the rogue politicians, the rogue companies, and everyone is a fraud. But no one dares to stand up to defend justice, protect integrity in government and in society. No one speaks the truth. All human beings today have run after money and run after scams that lose their self-esteem and conscience. No one dares to stand up for justice, no one dares to speak the truth. No one dares to arrest the rulers who do wrong. Have we gone wrong for so long that we don't even realize what's going on with humans? Have we gone wrong for so long that we don't even realize what's true and what is wrong? What is the cause of this market crash? The past few weeks have been turbulent in global financial markets because of two bank failures in the U.S. Only 2 days after the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, the regulator continued to close Signature Bank in New York headquarters on March 12, 2023. Next came the collapse of the Credit Suisse Bank. People are confused about the inflation crisis and the economic crisis in the U.S. People's also concerns about the health of the banking industry are widespread around the world. What is the cause of this market crash? It is created by our own heads-up politicians. It is the president, the vice president, the mafia gangs, and the oligarchs of the banking and financial markets. The Wall Street stock market, the Fed, the Federal Reserve Bank caused. It was all created by the giants of politics and the market to bring all the people into the trap of bankruptcy and become homeless. The modern world is a constant step forward. Or are we slaves of a robbery regime and scam, and we will all become homeless? So, what is the real cause of these crises? Why are political people so rich? While ordinary people must spend their whole lives as slaves to the government, and there are so many homeless out there? If you look at the result, you will know the cause. Aren't our politicians exploiting people's labor? Are they the culprits robbing people's money and properties and pushing them to the street to be homeless? Let's keep quiet and reflect on what happened in the past, and if we don't change the political system in the banking and financial markets, the stock market, and re-regulate the bank's policies, Federal Reserves, all the people would die of poverty and depression. Next, a tragic troops withdrawal damage in Taliban, war between Russia and Ukraine. And now China and Taiwan seem to happen very soon. Isn't that the result of who? How many American soldiers died in the Taliban? It's because of heartlessness and irresponsibility of who. And its cruelty will be extremely catastrophic if we do not know how to wake up. And another very popular game today is political bribery and market manipulation, silencing those who tell the truth. I will tell you the whole truth about American politics for you to know and protect yourself. When it comes to American politics, the first politic person to talk about is George Soros. A magnate of drugs, prostitutes, criminals, and financiers that everyone must bow and shake their heads. He is also a second demon after Xi Jinping. George Soros, a left-wing billionaire, a close friend of Obama and Hillary Clinton, and a witch master of the attacks on the politicians and the head of the mafia gangs. The boss of criminal gangs, drugs, murder, leading prostitutes, and human traffickers. There is nothing that he dares not do who have stormed for decades. Billionaire George Soros and his army of extremists are scheming to incite a mass exodus of advertisers that would force every conservative radio host off the air forever and give liberals complete control of the media with nobody to stop them from 1. Hijacking public opinion with fake news. 2. Seizing absolute power with a hostile takeover of America. 3. Allowing illegal immigrants to flood our country in a disorderly and disorganized manner during the COVID-19 pandemic, to bring COVID-19 to infect Americans, to kill Americans, to harm Americans, to destroy the American people's job system and the healthcare system. Their purpose is to steal the votes of the American people and gain control of America, steal government from America. 4. Dangerous brainwashing of our children with critical race theory (CRT), radical transgender LGBTQ+ ideology, pushing political propaganda and sexual content on children. Dangerous brainwashing and poisoning books and programmers for our children, etc. 5. Forcing their radical, socialist agenda on us all. The purpose of their agenda is to undermine the bedrock of American society, degrade American values, and ensure that their leftist ideology is forced on children without their parents' knowledge. And fool the people, make the people misunderstand, lie to people to cover the criminals, and do many bad things for people. 6. Covering criminals and releasing prisoners to harm the American people. Enacting abortion laws to kill unborn babies. Trafficking in people, trafficking in drugs, trafficking in women and children. Working as a minion for the Chinese communists. And many other unforgivable crimes. 7. Funding and advocacy for violent groups and riots and agitation. Evil act, avowed Marxist riots, fascist, racist, Black Lives Matter, terrorism, Antifa, Mafia, Antichrist, communistic, etc., in all American cities. 8. Funding millions of dollars into the campaign coffers of Democrats and millions more to groups attacking conservatives and stealing the presidential election system. These leftist thugs proudly display running an automatic voting machine, illegal software with many lies, illegal and fake lists, and encrypted by hackers to steal all the elections. 9. Weaponized our country's justice system, weaponized FBI, DOJ, police, and GOP leaders slammed to steal power from the American people. George Soros's main investment company used to transfer money to left-wing groups and left candidates to manipulate the political market in the U.S. and mafia gangs and criminals gangs around the world. Left-wing groups Soros funds and uses to fund money to left-wing media to manipulate the political market for Media Matters for America, Priorities USA Action, Hillary Super PAC, MoveOn.org. Tides Foundation, Democracy Alliance, Center for American Progress, CNN, MSNBC, etc. The masterminds of this evil plot secretly funding for fascist, racist, Black Lives Matter, terrorism, Antifa, mafia, antichrist, communistic, riots and agitation, evil act, avowed Marxist riots, etc. In all American cities. George Soros has sent millions of dollars to fund Media Matters for America, the liberal watchdog group that fights conservative misinformation. In fact, this is the front group for George Soros's war on conservatives. George Soros and Priorities USA Action raised and donated over $87 million to steal the presidential election in 2008 and re-elected in 2012 for Barack Obama. Raised $10,700,000 in anonymous contributions to elect Obama twice. In total, Priorities USA Action spent over $75 million to steal the 2012 presidential election for Obama. George Soros donated millions to elect Hillary Clinton and tried to steal the 2016 election for her but fell. Bill and Hillary Clinton were formerly handpicked as advisors for Media Matters by George Soros. He was an official co-chair of the Ready for Hillary Super PAC. George Soros funders millions of dollars into the campaign coffers of Democrats and millions more to groups attacking conservatives. George Soros is considered the unofficial leader of Obama, Hillary, Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Christopher A. Wray, Merrick B. Garland, Alejandro Mayorkas, Janet Yellen, etc. And left-wing deep state radicals. Bureaucrats entrenched at every level of the federal government carrying out a rogue liberal agenda and evil. George Soros using dirty money and power control props up radical leftist groups like Media Matters and the Center for American Progress. Groups responsible for all the most vicious and appalling attacks on conservatives. To blackmail talk radio advertisers into dropping their support of popular conservative talk radio hosts. Soros' army of left-wing extremists must first apply immense pressure to these businesses. They do that by using automated and illegal software to flood advertisers with what appears to be hundreds of thousands of email complaints and threats from everyday Americans. These leftist thugs proudly display a running tally of every company they're targeting with strike-throughs for every company they've scared into abandoning conservative talk radio. These leftist thugs proudly display running an automatic voting machine, illegal software with many lies, illegal and fake lists, and encrypted by hackers to steal all the elections. Soros' evil scheme is as simple as it is deadly: target, harass, bully, blackmail companies, and force Fortune 500 companies to pull their advertising and support from conservative radio shows and stations across America. Soros planned to silence conservative talk on media and stations across America. Klaus Schwab, he's the founder and president of the World Economic Forum. He's also connected to some of the most powerful billionaires in the world, such as Facebook's founder Mark Zuckerberg and Amazon's founder and owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos. Who are in control much of what Americans read about in the newspaper and what they can and can't buy online. Biden's puppet master is connected to the heads of big pharma, like the CEOs of the two big vaccine manufacturers, Pfizer and Moderna. Klaus Schwab, he's connected to the heads of major banking institutions, like the CEOs of MasterCard and Bank of America. And he's connected to the big players on Wall Street, like the CEO of Goldman Sachs. And the CEO of the world's largest asset manager BlackRock, Larry Fink. I'm talking about the cheat masters of the world who have the power to destroy your way of life and destroy anyone goes against them. As dangerous as this is so far, it gets even worse. Because this man's most important connection by far is President Joe Biden, and if you don't use your vote to stop them, they will forever be in power. And they will continue to oppress and exploit honest people. David Brock, founder of Media Matters for America and journalist, left-wing activist, close Clinton ally, and political operative for Obama, the Clintons, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Christopher A. Wray, Merrick B. Garland, Alejandro Mayorkas, etc. Known as one of the most influential operatives in the history of the Democratic Party. Largest liberal super PAC in America, David Brock leads the plot to steal all the presidential elections. Recently resigned as a member of the board of directors for Priorities USA but still has close ties and helped spearhead Hillary's corrupt campaign for president. Started the war on Fox News and conservative talk radio, with help from George Soros, Hillary Clinton, and John Podesta, to eliminate conservative talk on radio shows and all media stations across America. Angelo Carusone, president of Media Matters for America, Soros' right-hand man in the attacks works. Angelo Carusone of Media Matters leads a team of liberal extremists who work around the clock to blackmail and harass talk radio advertisers online. Angelo Carusone using automated and illegal software, these thugs flood advertisers with what appears to be thousands of demands to drop their support for conservative hosts. Angelo Carusone's attack, Stop Rush, Stop Beck, Stop Hannity, Drop Fox, and Dumb Trump boycotts laid the groundwork for his new attack. John Podesta was a longtime Clinton family consigliere and was considered the ringleader of the progressive movement. He helped create Media Matters to carry out his dream of destroying conservative talks and hosts. He is also the mastermind of the Behind the Census effort to steal the 2020 presidential election. Center for American Progress, a political juggernaut created by John Podesta as a training camp for liberal extremists. This group was often described as Obama's idea factory because they created, planned, and executed all of Obama's attempts to silence the conservatives. John Podesta and Hillary Clinton helped David Brock create Media Matters for America with dirty money from George Soros to destroy America and conservatives. John Podesta was a Clinton family consigliere for decades, served as Bill Clinton's chief of staff, and led the counterattacks on the conservative media during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. John Podesta was the chairman of Hillary's 2016 presidential campaign. Involved with Obama's transition into power that time remarked, President-elect Obama has effectively contracted out the management of his own government's formation to Podesta. John Podesta laid the groupwork for Obama's attacks on conservatives. Considered the ringleader of the progressive movement and one of the most influential power brokers in Washington, John Podesta created the Center for American Progress as a training camp for liberal extremists. It has since become one of the most powerful liberal groups in America, playing a central role in the Democratic Party's planning, fundraising, and messaging. the Center for American Progress. This political juggernaut receives $40 million per year from George Soros, Clinton, Donald Sussman, and many other wealthy liberal elites to spearhead the progressive movement. Media Matters for America is a left-wing political operation created to censor conservative media through blacklisting and intimidation of advertisers and conservative candidates. Media Matters for America, this liberal watchdog group, claims to fight conservative misinformation, but the group itself admitted its real purpose is to target political enemies, including conservative websites, think tanks, broadcast networks, media, and talk radio hosts. Media Matters for America is more than a front group. It is a talisman and a screen for George Soros' war on conservative and American traditional values. It is no surprise to this group of left-wing extremists at the center of this new plot to destroy America's traditional values and conservative. Dirty Dozen member Attorney General Merrick Garland has ordered federal agents and prosecutors to consider criminal charges against law-abiding American citizens who don't want their kids forced to wear masks or to learn about homosexuality in the 3rd grade. You can see how scared leftists get when states like Florida pass simple, anti-grooming laws that say that teachers should not talk to kindergarteners about sex. They'll lie and lie and lie and call it the Don't Say Gay bill, even though the word gay cannot be found anywhere in the legislation. And as recently revealed, Planned Parenthood, the organization dedicated to killing as many babies in the womb as possible, was the mastermind behind this media strategy. Planned Parenthood now stands to profit from chemically castrating healthy young boys and chopping off the breasts of young girls. All for money and all to push our children into a radical sexual agenda that will ruin their lives. No wonder the Biden administration directly coordinated with the National School Boards Association, NSBA, to draft a letter criticizing federal law enforcement on parents who protested at school board meetings. Those in power always will try to crush the activists bringing to light the misdeeds and horrors of the authorities. Dirty Dozen member alert. Chip Slavin is head of the National School Boards Association, NSBA. Although the group at first denied knowing about Garland's memo, news reports later revealed that Slavin and others did know about it in advance. Garland's directives motivated a federal prosecutor to quickly write a memo to other prosecutors outlining possible ways to criminally charge and, by extension, shut up anyone who came to speak out against the radical sexual and racial agendas being pushed in the schools. Despite the massive public outcry from parents, Garland has refused to apologize or retract his appalling memo in response. Flag and conservative supporters across the country have signed a petition asking both their senators to demand Garland's resignation. The mainstream media and Democrats will claim that sexual ideology is not being pushed on kids and that critical race theory is just a law school topic that isn't taught in younger grades. But that is just a lie of Democrats and left-wing media. Bell has been dubbed the godfather of critical race theory. As Harvard Law School's first tenured black professor, Bell's writings in the 1980s, most notably Faces at the Bottom of the Well, became the cornerstone of CRT. Dirty Dozen member Ibram Kendi is critical race theory's chief marketing officer, according to author Christopher Rufo, a prominent critic of CRT. After the death of George Floyd in 2020, Kendi published a book titled How to Be an Anti-Racist. More recently, he wrote another bestseller, Anti-Racist Baby. Rule number 1 in the book is, open your eyes to all the skin colors. Dirty funded with big bucks from Twitter founder Jack Dorsey, Ibram Kendi makes big promises about fighting racism but often fails to follow through on his promises. Kendi is a race hustler to the degree that would make Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson proud. And you can be sure that if an Ibram Kendi book anti-racist is in the libraries or in the schools, it's a bad one and must be avoided. Dirty Dozen member Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a New York congresswoman and self-described Democratic Socialist, Ocasio-Cortez is also a fierce proponent of teaching CRT in schools. Dirty Dozen member Richard Delgado, author of numerous texts on CRT, including Critical Race Theory, An Introduction. Delgado is a law professor at the University of Alabama and a founder of the CRT movement. In a 2010 interview, he said that in 1989, a bunch of Marxists gathered at the University of Wisconsin for a founding conference on CRT scholarship. Dirty Dozen member Nicole Hannah Jones, not be New York Times journalist, Hannah Jones, created a historically inaccurate project called the 1619 Project, which claimed that America was founded on slavery and that the American Revolution was fought to defend slavery. A notion thoroughly debunked by historians. Dirty Dozen member Robin DiAngelo is a white woman who wrote a book called White Fragility. Other race hustlers like her because they can cite her book and call white people fragile and try to claim that that is not racist. Dirty Dozen member Scott Ziegler, Loudoun County, VA, school superintendent Scott Ziegler is accused of covering up several sexual assaults on high school students. In May 2021, a male teenager was charged with sexually assaulting a girl in a restroom at Stonebridge High School. According to Loudoun County Sheriff Michael Chapman, Ziegler was aware of the assault yet said nothing as the male student was transferred to Broad Run High School, where he sexually assaulted another student in October 2021. It is the people in power in the leftist government now, from Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Janet Yellen, Alejandro Mayorkas, FBI, DOJ, left-wing GOP leader, etc., working as henchmen for the oligarchs George Soros and manipulating the financial markets and government in the U.S., who are the culprits behind the financial crises. Housing crises, crime crises, abortion crises, fraud crises, banks crisis, homelessness crises, shootings, murder, rape, human trafficking, drug trafficking, organ trafficking, etc. Across the U.S. and around the world, there's nothing they can't do. They just lied to you to get your vote, to get your donation, to steal all your money and asset, and put you on the street to be homeless and will kill you if you dare to speak out against them. People and compatriots, the people of America, children of God, please wake up and please stand up for fair, for justice and stand up to defend yourself. Don't let those with tongues deceive you. Exaggerating and using the appearance of wealth and luxury. Using media to cover up their own crimes, the crimes of the left-wing Democratic. Just like the Chinese Communist Party, the Democratic Party is nothing more than a copy of communism. I will explain to you why, about the Chinese Communist Party. Yes, it is a problem for the whole world. Because Xi Jinping is a venomous snake and a devil. He wants to destroy the whole world and make the world serve him as an all-powerful hegemonic king. He is a deceiver. He wants to deceive the whole world and will destroy anyone who opposes him. He is the one who supported the war between Russia and Ukraine because he wants the world to weaken, and he will rise to rule the world. When he does not have all the power in his hand, he will pretend to flatter you or grant you all conditions, until you have fallen into his trap and cannot get out. Then he will immediately kill you or avenge you with cruel and terrible barbaric tortures. He will not remove you easily. He will do any means to oppress and control you. Look at the way he is treating his people and dealing with those who oppose him. You already know his crimes even reach hell to be feared. If you want to know about it, Go to YouTube and search communist tortures and sins, crimes, murders, etc. Then you will see with your own eyes the cruel and barbaric tortures of communists and the crimes around the world from the past to the present. Now, watch and open your eyes wide and save yourself. Save your children and grandchildren, and save America and save the world. Don't let the snake, who is Satan, and his companions deceive and rule anymore. If Joe Biden is still in the presidency and the Democratic Party is still in power, America will have to face crimes, homeless, bad, and drugs. People will behave according to the law of gypsy and kill each other innocently. Oops, economic crisis, crime crisis, people crisis, and a lot of crimes all over the world will never end. The most important problem is that human understanding is too poor and misleading, so it is easy to be deceived by the Communist Party and evil. We need to let people in America know they must change their minds and change their actions and choose the right way, the right things. As for the current political situation in the US, almost everyone has very little knowledge of politics and religion. They follow the trends of the crowd and choose to live loosely and sinfully. We need to send accurate information so that they can choose the right path for themselves and for the whole of America. From there, they will have the right choice when going to the polls. Because America's Democratic Party is currently following the trend of a loose and sinful way of life, opposing God, and covering up criminals. And, of course, everyone who wants to live in sin and gangs, who want to do bad things and steal money from people, will vote for democracy. What we need to do now is to reorient the way people live and think so that they can get rid of that sinful way of life and get rid of the deception of the Communist Party and the Democratic Party. The problem of the Democrats is that they only lie to get the people's votes, and after they have won the government, they try to commit crimes and forgive criminals to harm the people. To do many bad and evil things for people. There is not a crime that they do not dare to do. There is not a trick that they do not do to deceive the American people. To steal the government of the American people. Just like the Chinese Communist Party, the Democratic Party is nothing more than a copy. They only deceive the people and take advantage of the people. Look at all the homeless people. The crimes on the street, and you've seen that lie. If there is a good government and a good society, then you will never see so many homeless. Many crimes go around on the street like that. That is the proof of the government's lie. As for the matter that you told me about your anxiety, yes, you are right. China wants to dominate the world. So it will not spare a single trick to steal all the good technology and all your talent. As proof, I can tell you that Mr. Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, is a spy. She was planted by the Chinese Communist Party to marry Mr. Mitch McConnell and steal data as well as national secret information of the United States. Currently, all secret information about the United States is disclosed and transported to China by her. If you want to dismantle this network, then you need to remove Mr. Mitch McConnell from the U.S. Congress and then her and everyone associated with her. The best way to ensure national secrecy is will not accept anyone with Chinese nationality to work in Parliament and terminate all international students and companies from China. Even the Facebook boss Mark Zuckerberg, Google, Apple, and students from China of Harvard University, TikTok, ByteDance, Huawei, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. All employees from China working in Silicon Valley, all individual and commercial transactions from China will be strictly controlled, and any unnecessary transactions will be terminated. We don't need to do business with China until we can control our country. Currently, the most difficult and urgent problem is theft, homelessness, crime, and fraud, which are rampant throughout the United States. If the government does not amend the law and enforce it fairly and strictly, Then each person will disregard the law and treat each other according to the law of Gangban and countless killings and thefts, crimes, etc. And if anyone refuses to comply, they will have to go to prison to work to compensate the victims. Anyone who uses business to cheat or lies to defraud other people's money or property is a criminal. Then they are obligated to follow the contract or promise of the two parties. If anyone voluntarily if they cancel the contract or does not do what they promised, the person who does the contract wrong will have to take full responsibility before the law and must pay compensation for the contract. If they cannot afford to pay the contract, then they must go to prison to work in prison to compensate the victim. Only such fair and strict laws can people follow and obey the law. If the law is unfair and not strict, then each person will disregard the law and do wrong things and live deceitfully, stealing and killing each other without regard to the law. Regarding civil and criminal matters, anyone who uses business or personal to defraud or take money from other people's investments is a criminal. Only individuals with individuals who are not frauds are civil. But if it is a personal matter, the court must decide according to the contract or under the promise of the two parties. If everyone who disobeys the court order will have to go to jail and work in prison to compensate the victims for damage, only such strict laws can deter the people. And the people will obey only by law. All businesses and companies must submit all contracts and company rules to the government business registration location. So, any disputes or conflicts that arise thereafter will be reviewed by the government in the company's laws and contracts on track records. People who like to do evil things and criminals, just like drug addicts, they know how to enter, but they don't know how to exit. They need to separate from the community so they can do badly for themselves. The second is to get rid of all Chinese and communist spies. In the immediate future, the traitor Mitch McConnell and Ms. Elaine Chao, and even the boss of Facebook be involved in business and selling data and confidential information to China, and several others who followed Ms. Chao's line, and all the students sent here by the Chinese government to study abroad, especially the students at Harvard University, all have the purpose of spying and stealing data and brains of the Chinese government. U.S. only when those spies are removed from Congress, out of the United States. Will the country's secret information and data be more secure? It would be better to stop doing business with China and stop issuing visas to international students from China because they are all spies sent by Xi Jinping. And then bring all the homeless people on the street to the shelter. Give them food, clothes, and medicine, and give them jobs if possible and ASAP. Because if there are no homeless on the street, there will be very little theft and crime on the street. The roads will be nicer and safer, and America will not be ashamed of tourists from all over the world. The rich will make the country strong, but the homeless people full of roads will lose all honor of America. We also need to really care about people who are suffering from mental health problems and are being hospitalized for treatment of psychological and psychiatric problems. Because they have been oppressed unfairly by others, by those who have treated them badly and have hurt them mentally and physically. We also need to pay attention to them and heal all the wounds in their hearts, so that they can return to a normal life and be helpful to our society. Patients in mental hospitals and homeless people are victims of the evils of our society today. They are victims, and they really need our help. We need to deal with them conscientiously. Not just lock them up in insane asylums like prisoners, which is too unethical and too immoral of the crazy government. Through today's stories, I hope everyone will wake up and stand up to work with me, so that together we can heal the bleeding wounds of everyone in society. Together, we will heal the world. Together, we will change the world to be a better place for all of humanity. To resolve the issues outlined above, on November 18, 2022, I have formally submitted the verdict of impeachment against U.S. President Joe Biden and all his officials and the Democratic Party. President of sins and lies, for corruption, money laundering, killing unborn babies and innocent people, covering criminals, and releasing crimes to harm Americans. Violence to the Constitution of America, violent to the oath of the Constitution of America, and many terrible and unforgivable crimes. The judgment has been sent to the Supreme Court of the United States, to Congress, the office of the President, and all government organizations in 51 U.S. states. And I am the President of the United States of America. In conclusion, we must remember that God's punishment is not a reflection of his hatred or anger but a manifestation of his justice and righteousness. The truth of God is that those who live well will be rewarded well, while those who live evil will suffer evil. Let us all strive to live a life of love and goodness and bring peace to the world. I come to this world to call everyone to repent because the kingdom of God is nearby. This is the first part of chapter 3 in the book God's Truth. I will continue to introduce to you the next part 2 of the book in the next chapter, chapter 3 part 2, the truth of government. Please continue to your journey of discovering. Thank you for your interest and following, and see you again. Mary Mercy, God.